All right. Welcome to the post Thanksgiving Day scorecard here in Austin, Texas. What is happening with the Austin housing market? It is chilly out there, but something tells me you're going to add a little bit of warmth, Mark Koretsky.
Thank you for having me back. I'm back from the
Absolutely.
Northeast, and it is warmer here than I remembered. So we need to take our blessings and count them when we have them.
Absolutely. We are back to warmer weather. I am stoked. It is the end of November for those of you tuning in. We are here every single week, and let's get to it. Mark, as per usual, the Austin housing market continues to show about 3.2 months of inventory, which, according to some, is chilly, and according to others, is pretty darn warm.
But it's nowhere near what it really has been when you look at it over the last, 30 years. Before the show, before we started taping, I was looking at the Texas A&M Research Center, and they've got the total months of inventory going back to 1990. The most Austin's ever had is like 7 months. And as we talked about earlier, it's not until you get above 6.5 months, according to Texas A&M, that you actually get into a stable market. So is 3 months good? Is 3 months bad? It's all relative, right?
Absolutely. So we're at 3.2 months of inventory. We've got just under 10,000 houses for sale. We are relatively flat versus last week. It's neither cooler nor warmer in that sense of the market. And the sentiment, honestly, going into the holiday as well as after the holiday is, shock and awe is out the door, and people are really in a space of acceptance for where the rates are. And we are under classic all-time highs. So people are just figuring it out.
I think it's a normalization. And so I think we're seeing live with transactions coming through of buyers actually having some advantages in the mix, right? Which is something that me, somebody that works intimately with buyers, we haven't seen since 2018, early 2019. So it's really good to see for us.
Absolutely. The opportunities are there for people who are smart buyers and smart sellers. And I would love to talk about this week in what I'm calling the cooling market. What's going on with the fact that Austin has seen double-digit price increases for years, which was unsustainable. Now we're seeing the one of the all-time highest cool downs, and I, for one, am actually not sad about that particular piece of the puzzle because I think affordability is being driven by rates, as we know in Austin, and we still have a lot of people moving here and homes for sale.
If you really look at the median income in Austin and you compare it to any one of these last 30 years, it's probably significantly higher, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we really minimize the effect that our salaries and our median incomes actually play on home values and affordability. And so Austin is definitely more expensive than it used to be when it comes to home prices, but is it actually more affordable? Depends on where you're at, right?
Absolutely. Amazon has announced that they will be laying people off. It's a fact of life. The reality is that we're not all home needing everything delivered to our homes anymore. And so that was unsustainable as a model.
I think that is the nature of the beast, right? The nature of the economy. It ebbs and flows, and
Mhm.
it's our job as humans in a capitalistic world to really maximize our value. There's sectors of the economy that are reeling and they are downsizing and they are right sizing, I would say. And then
Yep.
there's other emerging industries and markets where they are so thirsty for talent. We are approaching record lows of unemployment.
We've been hearing from our government is higher unemployment. That said, for the tech sector, which, Austin has reaped the rewards for so long now and will continue to reap the rewards. We still have Meta, which is Facebook. We still have Tesla. We still have Whole Foods and so many other companies that are moving here. The 3D house printing company. We have so much technology in Austin. And while maybe we're seeing some layoffs at the higher levels or even just failure to hire, for example, we still have, I forget what the number is on Tesla and how many people they need to come in because they need people in the office doing work building cars. Like, That's not going away here in Austin, Texas.
No, and demand for Tesla and demand for anything Elon Musk touches these days, I feel like it keeps going up and up. So, I mean, I don't see that going away. As you were talking, I was kind of thinking about it, and I don't know if any announcements have been made, but I feel like Austin would be a really good hub for a lot of these semiconductor plants that we're proposing and pushing from a federal level. I know we've had some rumblings up here in the DFW, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a plethora of them and chasing the talent, right? As far as what we just talked about, that would be a really good play for Austin.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we see so many spinoffs, right, from our tech companies that require support. The boring company, Elon's boring company. Lord knows what's going to happen with Twitter. I don't want to touch that one.
Active social media right now, it's like the most active it's ever been. And so it's for the first time I've gotten back on Twitter. I realized you were following me.
I definitely see a place for Twitter and how it's utilized for people to understand the market. So I follow a lot of economists. I follow builders. I follow a number of industries that I believe are having a big impact in the world. And of course, I've a lot of marketers and what they're talking about right now for our industries.
I was blessed with self-awareness, and I knew from an early age, like, stay off Twitter. Like, you need a filter, and that's like the least filter. Like, yeah, you can only do a certain amount of characters, but like, if I just start tweeting the things that come across my mind, like, you'll be scared, if nothing else.
Well, the ability to tweet something that is effective in that short space, I think, is highly important now because there is so much information. And whatever that hook is that people are talking about, market cool down, or is the market on fire, or, are we sinking, or insert, dramatic word here. The reality is there are more opportunities right now for buyers and sellers to work together than there have been in a very long time.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Even though we've got almost 10,000 houses on the market right now, a lot of them are because it's taking longer for homes to sell versus new homes coming on the market.
I have a buyer down there right now. He portrayed it was, oh my God, there's too many houses and I need to narrow down my criteria, which is not something that he was saying last year when he couldn't compete in last year's market. It doesn't matter what rates are. It doesn't matter what inventory is. Humans are humans. And at the end of the day, they've got to move for one reason or another.
Absolutely. I mean, people are coming here for business all the time. It's not going to change. I was looking at some numbers earlier, and our median purchase price, when we look at who's coming here, like international buyers, the median purchase price for international buyers is actually higher than the national average in Austin. Mark, where do you think the most people are coming from to live in Central Texas?
I would probably put India. I'd probably put some of the Middle East. I would put China. The thing is I'm an immigrant at the end of the day, right? And so bad political situations force people to move really far. And when you look across the entire globe, America looks really, really good. And so people are coming from everywhere. But based on what you said with the money, that's where I would say.
You're absolutely right on number one. Number one is India. Number two is Mexico. And then you've got Taiwan and China coming up there. And then you've got Canada after that, all of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of those places, they basically exactly what I just said.
Yeah. Our total immigrant population from all of those places basically equates to 3% of all sales. When we look at the total number of sales, like of all homes being purchased, with all those people coming in, they still only represent about 3% of all home sales.
Yeah. We have more demand than we could ever deal with, but at the end of the day, it feels like there's like a concerted effort to try to dissuade home buyers from purchasing, right? Like, that's everything that I feel. And so when you look at it, you realize Austin is one of the youngest, one of the most affordable when it comes to, again, everything is relative, but you compare it to the coasts and what Austin offers as opposed to the coasts.
Mm-hmm.
everybody's looking around and they're saying, why haven't we been here for years, right? I don't know one transplant to Texas that hasn't enjoyed their move to Texas.
Yeah,
That's the
absolutely. For people, if you're watching, you're thinking about coming to Austin, Texas, let me tell you something. Our affordability in terms of the actual house prices is better now than it's been in quite some time, because we've gone from our high of 550 in April, whereas we're sitting now at 474.9 as our median home sales price for the entire Austin MSA. So that's substantial buying power if you think about getting in now and then paying your mortgage and riding the ride.
It's not just that, Jennifer, because if you look at ADP, they measure salaries, right? And they're one of the biggest payroll companies out there.
Mm-hmm.
According to them, over the last 12 months, if somebody stayed on their job, they had a salary increase of about 7%.
Okay.
And if they switch jobs, on average, it's somewhere around 12%.
Oh, wow.
And so if you combine the two, it's about 9% that the average American has actually seen in a salary increase. And when you actually look at the numbers, and this is again what I should have had for you this week, but when you really look at it, with that decrease in median price, with that increase in actual take home monthly pay, you actually may be more affordable. Even if you're not more affordable, you're more attainable today buying in Austin than you were over the last 36 months.
That's wild. So let's talk about that now. So let's take that and put a real life scenario together, because I want to talk about the thing that keeps coming up. Well, there's the two things. There's the 2-1 buy down, and there's their 3-2-1 buy down. So the more common being the 2-1 buy down. From an affordability standpoint for buyers, then there's seller concessions that can reduce the loan, right?
The loan payment.
Payment, yes, the loan payment.
Yeah. And the difference on a 3-2-1 is massive, right? But
Yeah.
even on a 2-1, it's a tangible difference. And what we've talked about before, it's a dollar for dollar decrease, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that reduction is over the next 2 years, that's what you pay at closing. And
Yeah.
again, as we continue to improve ourselves and our marketability and our profitability as workers, we're going to continue to see our employment and increases in that salary. And so in 2 years, you're going to be making more money than you were making today, right? As long as you're following the right path. Right now, it's the old saying, Jennifer, right? It's you don't buy real estate. What's the saying?
Buy real estate and wait.
Exactly. Right?
Yep. So on the 2-1 buy down for buyers, if you can have a seller who's willing to make a concession to help reduce your loan payment, you're at a win. Now, if the math is the math in today math, and then you want to look at the future math, to Mark's point, we anticipate that you're going to make more money in the future. However, if you have any type of risk in income that you think you may not be able to support at the regular rate, then a 2-1 buy down is not great, because that monthly payment is going to exist.
You don't buy on a temporary payment. That's
Correct.
not why somebody buys. You buy knowing whatever that full payment is, I afford it, and this is me improving the situation from what I afford. But you never want to bite off more than you can chew, and you don't set a budget based on temporary payments.
Right. And then the third part of the equation is, if this is something that you are considering, we also want to consider what that house price is, because the appraisal needs to come in at or pretty darn close, if not more than what the actual purchase price is. Because if you don't, if there's a variable, then when you get to the closing table, then that's even more cash that has to go down.
And to your point, we are seeing a majority of these contracts and the appraisals for these contracts coming in above that contract price.
I believe it.
As much as you are correct in the full discretion, right now there's so many buyers that are listening to the news and the noise coming from it.
So much
that
noise.
They're taking steps back. And so the buyers that aren't listening to it, or they are listening to it and they're actually comprehending what's going on, they're able to negotiate some of the best deals I've ever seen. I've been in this since 2014.
I believe it. And so for sellers listening to this, the 2-1 buy down for sellers is a really friendly incentive opportunity for you for buyers who are looking at an initial lower payment, that initial first year of having lower payments. So there's a lot of opportunity sellers to keep that price point up while allowing an opportunity for the buyer to come in and get creative with someone like Mark on your team who really understands how the numbers work to create affordability for both parties.
I would argue that it's your patriotic duty. And that's because at the end of the day, what creates your home value is comparable sales, right?
Sure.
And so if we're allowing ourselves to actually equity strip ourselves, that's not doing good for your neighbor, right? And so we should be buying and selling real estate at what it's worth, not based on what we think it's going to be worth, like we were in the last 2 years paying 100K over, and not like some buyers are approaching it today thinking it's 2 years from now asking or offering 100K under asking price, right? There's got to be
Right.
that middle ground.
Right. Yeah. Listen, I've got buyers who are like, hey, do you think they're going to, knock off a couple $100,000 from that? And I'm like, no, they are not. People are not prepared to destroy the equity of the building that they're in or the neighborhood that they're in order to make that sale. Now, at some point, a seller needs to sell, and there are real life carrying costs. So the question of holding a property that might have been at aspirational prices in the first place is also a consideration. In Austin, Texas, right now, Mark, houses that are priced well are seeing bidding wars.
Oh, yeah. We just got outbid with a perfectly qualified buyer, just got outbid. It still happens all the time. It shows not only how important it is when somebody buys, it's not only important when somebody goes to sell, but the way that that homeowner maintains their home and improves their home and the amount of actual love and tender care that they put into it as they're the homeowners, all of that is critical to whatever you're going to sell for. I am not a tax advisor, so I can't give any tax advice, but you're absolutely right. And our tax code, the reason why I can't give advice is it's way too long and it's way too difficult to read. And so I stick to mortgages and real estate.
I love it. So right now, with the invitation to discuss the 3-2-1 buy down, can you give just like a quick brief synopsis? For those who don't know what the 3-2-1 is, how are you finding the uptake of that product?
So first, whatever the fixed rate is, the first year is 3% less than that fixed rate. The second year is 2% less than that fixed rate. And the third year is 1% less than that fixed rate. And so that total reduction in payments that a buyer would have over those 3 years, that's the amount that they pay at closing. They or the seller or any sort of contribution, whether from agents, whether from gifts, whether from lender, it doesn't matter. The 3-2-1, based on the math that I've done, it's like just under 4.5% of the loan amount.
Here's the thing, folks. What Mark is telling you is that you can buy a house right now at 4.5% on a 3-2-1.
Well, somebody can get a lot lower than that, Jennifer.
You can get lower than that.
What I mean is that's the amount it would cost out of pocket to get that 3-2-1 option.
Right.
And so if the loan is, let's say, 400,000, 4.5% of that is 18 grand. And so that would be basically about 18 grand in payment reduction over 36 months.
Yep.
But somebody's got to have or be able to negotiate for that 18 grand out of pocket to actually make it a reality, right? And so that's what we're helping educate both buyer and seller on to make sure that we're coming to the best agreements possible.
I think everyone's so busy running around, not understanding that they have maybe as much equity as they do, and that they're hung up on this 7% or insert, what's the number today?
In between 6.5 and 7, but it's different for everybody.
Okay,
right?
so worst case scenario 7 today.
Yeah,
it's a point in time that you're watching this video, and we're talking about 7%.
Those sevens, and we crept up to like 7.3. That was the worst that it got, and it's come down. If you look at Mortgage News Daily, they measure rates from lenders every single day. They were showing like 6.67 for conventional as of today, which would have been for actually today.
Right. So imagine you take that number, folks, and now you can take that exact same mortgage rate and turn it into a 3.75 mortgage rate. Like, that's what we need to be talking about, Mark.
I know.
If you're sitting on the equity, it has real value.
It has real value once somebody is going through a contract and actually
Correct.
through
Not
the
a second before.
until then, before then, after then, it is all theoretical, right? And so
100%.
it's not until somebody actually goes to buy and sell is any of it realized.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing with your home value is people can't say, "Oh, I lost this money in my house." You didn't lose the money. It only matters the day you go to sell it, just like it does with your stock or anything else that is on an open market.
In this day trading world of ours that we live in, we have to stop looking at real estate as a day trading event. It is not.
True.
It is a long-term buy and hold strategy. That is the tried and true strategy. You can go and fix and flip, and it's a great strategy. But at the end of the day, the power in real estate is owning that real estate, and that's coming from an immigrant and realizing that what we have here in America, our ability to actually acquire real estate, be able to pass it down, that is not a regular thing for a average human in the world. And so right now, at the end of the day, it's really that's where my passion comes in for what we do.
Yeah.
And so we've got to stop listening to the Diana Oliks of the world. Jennifer and I were talking before we started recording. If somebody had listened to Diana Oliks since 2015, it would have cost them on median 250K in home value and home actual equity. And so we've got to make the right decisions for ourselves. We've got to trust the local vetted professionals to help advise us because at the end of the day, you need to trust the experts, right? And so we can't all be the expert at everything.
I'm telling you, Mark, when I started in this industry 12, 13 years ago, I had someone who swore up and down because of the news that they're waiting for the bubble to burst. And if they had simply bought then for $300,000, that same house today was worth like well over $1 million in the neighborhoods that we were shopping in. But they couldn't pull the trigger. They couldn't imagine that somehow all that news would have been wrong. And 5 years later, their prices of income didn't go up, but the home values skyrocketed and they lost on huge opportunity. All I can say is homeownership isn't for everyone today and maybe not tomorrow. If you're watching the news, though, news gets made to sell ratings. Period. Full stop. The end.
We sell advertising, sir.
Yeah, exactly. And Mark and I get in here, we talk about like so many people, what's happening in the local market in Austin. I'm telling you, people are chomping at the bit. And before this call, Mark, we had on my phone was somebody asking if they could go see a house. And I'm like, I can't let you see it until Thursday. You know, like people want to buy houses if they can right now. And it's amazing to me that some people are not weighing all of the odds and they've got blinders on like a horse staying in their lane and they're missing huge opportunity.
The older I get, the more the saying makes sense. Ignorance is bliss, right?
Oh,
And so when we have the ability to have a dog just pop up out of nowhere.
This is Cooper Goodman. He is the director of fun here at the Jennifer S. Goodman Group, and he keeps everyone in line. He helps with staging and watering lawns. We'll leave it at that. We're talking about the market, and realistically, like it's not for everyone to buy right now. And also, don't stick your head in the sand like an ostrich and not get all of the information, or at least more sources, because news and truth aren't the same.
No, they're not. And more we're seeing, especially millennials and younger, going to their family, going to their networks and trying to get advice from them. And there's a lot of good to that, right? Like we are so community oriented. It's amazing. But at the end of the day, it's everybody has an opinion. And if we really look around at it, as much as a lot of us unplugged from mainstream news, we're still impacted by it every single day. I still fully resonate with buyers that are too scared to move, right?
Sure.
Like just so much negativity out there. Like you said, how could everybody be wrong? But once you realize that when everybody's telling you one thing, that's where you've got to actually do the opposite, right? We don't want to move with the crowd. We want to actually lead and help bring the right followers with us.
Absolutely. With that in mind, Bitcoin is down and it'll be back.
It'll be back.
It's like everything. And our housing market in Austin, while it had seen double digit growth for so long, it was unsustainable. Where now kind of we have plateaued, if you will, at least for the next little while. And I think it offers a lot of opportunity, especially going into the last month of the year, for people to get out there and buy while builders are unloading. I mean, if anybody wants to talk to me about what's going on in the builder world, I would be happy to talk to you because there's all sorts of opportunities there. Got a lot of people who just want to close their books for 2022 to move on. And you've got the reality of like the world is going to continue. Austin is continuing to have so much economic growth. We welcome everyone who's coming and we're just growing and growing and growing. So I'm excited about what's coming for the end of this month. And I'm excited as we're thinking about what's going on for the new year. How about you in mortgage land?
I think when we look at the fundamentals, they're all pro real estate. As much as the mortgage industry, it's going through some tough times with higher rates than we've seen in 20, 30, 40 years. There's so much opportunity out there. It's unbelievable. And so it's just on each and every one of us to really identify why for ourselves, right? Figure out what are those goals that we want to have, what are the goals that actually resonate with that why, and then just create a plan. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is your economy. Every economy can be going to hell, but if you and your personal economy are doing well and are staying conservative and living within your means, that's how you survive the long term.
I like it. It's capitalism and it's also respectful of your own wallet. So I like it.
The world would be a little bit of a better place with a little bit more personal responsibility in it.
Absolutely. All I can do is chop it up with you every single week. Come here, give people what's important to them, and let them know that we want to help them in the most holistic way possible, give them the value, and keep coming back with the numbers, what's going on, where the opportunities are. And next week, we're going to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, with that in mind, Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me as always. I didn't show it off earlier, but if we didn't have enough patriotic themes throughout the show, I've got my American flag suit on. So thank you for having me, Jennifer. It is always a pleasure. If you guys need anything from me, you know how to find me.
All right. Thanks so much for tuning, everyone. Bye-bye.